Julie, and I just wanted to say greetings to all of you. Well, I took 2 weeks off from My Fair Lady. I was due a vacation, and Rodgers and Hammerstein had asked if I would do Cinderella, and they wrote it especially for me, for which I'm deeply grateful. And we rehearsed very hard. It was live television. There was no getting away from it. Whatever we shot that night was what the audience saw. And some kind soul said to me just before cameras rolled, when we were about to be live, they said, "You do realize that more people will probably see the show tonight than if you played in My Fair Lady for about 15 years to packed theatres." And it put it in terrible proportion for me, and I thought that's not exactly what I wanted to hear just before cameras rolled and we were beamed across America. But it was a very successful telecast. At the time, I think we had the most enormous numbers. More people watched that show than ever had watched a television musical before.
I'm a young Norwegian princess, for a maid.
Mishaps, there were blitzes and maybe once in a while somebody went up on a lyric or something like that. Going live, I just very much wish it had been taped, because going live probably made us all look a little bit too careful. There was so much that could have gone wrong, and so one was really tiptoeing along, making sure that you faced the right way, that you knew which camera you were on, that you remembered your dialogue and your lyrics, and things like Cinderella's quick change from rags to her beautiful ball gown were unbelievably difficult. I remember our director wanted it to be very real, and so he started off on my feet, which while I was talking here, my sparkly shoes were put on my feet, and so then the camera began there and crept upwards, and there was a beautiful cloak, and gradually, by the time the camera got to my head, somebody had put a crown on my head and dashed out of the way. So it wasn't the easiest evening to film, but it was hugely successful. Absolutely delicious. It is magical. So many of their songs are so infinitely singable. Some of them are very hard to sing. For instance, in The King and I, Hello Young Lovers is a long, evenly balanced song that has a kind of rolling, what we would call a barcarolle feeling to it, almost as if you were on a boat or just rolling along, but you have to ride right off across the top of the melody, and that is sort of, you know, hello young lovers, wherever you are. It took enormous concentration to keep the line of thought going and to have enough breath to sustain it all. That's a hard song to sing, as is If I Loved You from Carousel. But some of the songs, including those, are so genuinely joyous, and of course all the songs from Sound of Music. I hope that answers some of your questions. Thank you for being such a fan of The Sound of Music, as am I.